Welcome to the Greater Returns Podcast, where we talk about nonprofit fundraising, analytics, and how to get better every day. Now, let's get started with the show.
So, Dennis Hoffman here. I'm the host of Greater Returns, a fundraising podcast where I talk with top nonprofit leaders about marketing, direct mail, and analytics. Today, I'm talking with Kevin Lee, the president of Giving Forward. Kevin is a pioneer in cause marketing. He helps nonprofits increase their social impact and raise millions of dollars in innovative ways. This episode is brought to you by Engage USA. At Engage USA, we provide expert caging and lockbox services to help organizations meet their unique fundraising needs. Our proprietary systems capture, verify, and balance data in real time, allowing us to provide our clients with obsessively accurate data and deposits within 24 hours. State and national charities, advocacy organizations, and political candidates count on Engage USA to help their fundraising campaigns become more successful. So what are you waiting for? Visit engageusa.com or email info@engageusa.com to learn more.
Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate you having me.
Before I start, I want to give a big shout out to John Corcoran of Rise 25 Media. John introduced me to Kevin Lee, and John is the guy who convinced me to start this podcast. You can visit John's website at rise25.com. Kevin Lee is president of Giving Forward and a pioneer in online cause marketing. His innovations in fundraising have resulted in hundreds of millions of dollars being raised by nonprofit organizations around the globe. His day job is running a marketing agency called Didit. Kevin's online cause marketing platform powers goodbuzz.org and Miss America Network and generates revenue for nonprofits through sponsorship and advertising. He also has a philanthropic sweepstakes site launching soon. So Kevin, before we get started, tell me about Giving Forward.
Sure. Thanks, Dennis. Giving Forward was really a byproduct of my decade-long or more than one decade-long obsession with cause marketing. I just love the idea of getting marketing budgets to end up in nonprofit coffers. And cause marketing has been around for many decades, obviously, with regards to, there being co-branded products and things like that. But about 14 years ago, I had this idea of taking cause marketing digital. And I started a company called We Care, which was cause marketing powered commerce. And we launched with about 1,000 merchant partners, including Amazon. We had generated about $8 million for nonprofits with the We Care platform. And then Amazon asked us to do an A/B split test to prove that people's behavior actually changes when their favorite nonprofit gets a piece of the action. And we did an A/B split test. We demonstrated lift in conversion rate and shopping cart size. And what happened next, you can pretty much guess. We sort of inspired Amazon to go off on their own and launch Smile. They no longer wanted to have us be the intermediary for that platform. And to be honest, I can sort of take karma credit for the $330 million that have been generated thus far by Smile. We plateaued at about $8.3 million under We Care. And then Giving Forward was really just the byproduct of me wanting to launch a nonprofit that builds a bunch of different cause marketing-based fundraising platforms with cause marketing-powered content, events, and philanthropic sweepstakes. And we'll probably get back into commerce again at some point soon as well.
So that's why people say that you're the guy who invented Amazon Smile.
Yeah, again, I don't have the internal discovery because there was no litigation. But I like to say that we inspired it, right? So sure. The reality was it was a great idea. And I can't say that we could have reached 330 million if they had left us alone, right? So from a general karma perspective, I'm okay with it. Maybe if you ask the dozen employees I had working for the company about it, they might not feel quite as charitable about the outcome as I am.
Absolutely. When I looked through, when I was researching to begin this, to figure out what questions to ask you, I looked at your old website, and I remember that. I remember using that portal to do my online shopping. It was what an extraordinary thing you came up with.
Thank you.
And you also publish goodbuzz.org and the Miss America channel. Both are designed to support causes. How do they work?
Well, the epiphany I had a few years back was that when you look at the Didit checks that get written from the marketing budgets of our clients, as in wearing my agency hat, most of the checks went to platforms where they got their content for free and their eyeballs for free. And they had decent profit margins, whereas some of the checks that the clients would write would go to typical publishing or broadcasting entities where they would have to pay for content and pay for eyeballs. They call it audience development in publishing. And so I said, if we could figure out how to get our content for free and our eyeballs for free, we could actually afford to give half of the ad revenue to nonprofits selected by the content creator and the content consumer, right? Those are the two sides of a publishing or broadcasting model. And, because Facebook and TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, and Snap, and LinkedIn even on the B2B side, they'll get their content for free. We create it and then they get to monetize it. So we help drive the eyeballs and they then turn that into ad revenue. So I say, if we could do that, that'd be really cool. And I didn't know if it would work or not. So initially I went out to try to buy a bunch of defunct publishing domains because I wanted to hit the ground running. So I'm most famous for having tried to buy Gawker in the second round of the Gawker bankruptcy. So, if you Google my name and Gawker, hit the news tab, you can see all the news about my attempts to buy Gawker and turn it into Gawker for good. So once I didn't get that and I didn't get any of the other 4 domains I tried to buy, Giving Forward was formed, and then we decided to launch goodbuzz.org as our launch domain because I saw what John Krasinski was doing with Some Good News during the pandemic. And, the idea that stars could Zoom with each other, right, and record these interviews and just have them be really fun, right, and sometimes engage with their fans as well. And create great content. I'm like, wow, if I could get 100 John Krasinskis, that would be really cool. Now, of course, I don't know 100 John Krasinskis. I don't even know one. I just happen to know some folks on the board of the Miss America organization. And the Miss America folks, all the way from the team contestants into the regular Miss America contestants at the state levels and national level, they're all super charismatic. And I said, let me try to do a deal with them. And they've got a 501c3, which generates thousands of dollars in scholarship money for the contestants. So they're a nonprofit. They're 2 nonprofits, actually, a C4 and a C3. And so we did a co-creation deal where they'll do the interviews of the celebrities and then we'll monetize them. And, the revenue will go both to the reader's choice or the viewer's choice in the case of video, and to the nonprofit that they're supporting, which is, of course, their own scholarship fund. And hopefully, as they interview more and more celebrities, we'll take those celebrities and some of them will get their own channels on goodbuzz.org. So we're not going straight for the Kardashians. I'd like to get to the Kardashians and have them spin up their channels. But we are going to, get there. We wrote our tech for the 3rd time because as you build these tech platforms, you constantly have to iterate. So we're sort of in soft launch right now, and we're going to hit the gas later in Q4.
So you kind of invented the system that Amazon raises money for charities with, and now you're taking on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and Snap?
Actually, I don't see it as taking on at all. I mean, obviously eyeballs are worth money to advertisers. And, what we'd love to have happen is some of the folks, the biggest social media footprints in all of these other social media channels, whether they're influencers from music, from sports, from Hollywood, if they become content creators on GoodBuzz, right, they can then cross promote that content that's on GoodBuzz on those other channels, right? Whether it's Twitter or Facebook, which are really, those are the 2 platforms which are all about, hey, look over there. There's some great content over there. You can link out really easily from those platforms. It's actually hard to get a TikToker to convince a person to leave TikTok or Snap or Instagram for that matter. Those are much more, hey, stay here, continue to, consume content here. But you can occasionally get people to leave and go to another platform. So, the content will reside primarily on goodbuzz.org. And, to the extent that the other social media platforms can drive traffic there, that's great, right? So the people who have the big social media footprints will be, able to use those footprints to the benefit of their charity. The more clicks they send over, the more viewers they send over, the more money their nonprofit's going to make, because their nonprofit as a creator gets 25% of the ad revenue.
Nice. 25% is a pretty great margin for fundraising. So in February, you ran a beta of a new kind of fundraising event. What was it? Tell me how it worked.
So the other area that I was sort of fascinated with was the idea of events. Philanthropic events have been around forever. Typically, they're run in a situation where each nonprofit runs their gala, right? And so or there's some kind of a big concert. But even in the case of a big concert, whether it's in Central Park, New York City, or somewhere else, the concert tends to be sort of a one-to-one relationship between the event and the nonprofit. And, one of the fun things about We Care is this democratization element of it. And that's also something that exists within GoodBuzz, is the idea of we should empower the consumer to pick their favorite cause. So I wanted to test some concepts around events, but no longer purely having the idea that an event was a one-to-one relationship between a nonprofit and that event. So I got a Didit client to sponsor this event, and it was Oregon specific, their launch. And so they said, we'd like to be philanthropic. Here's $10,000. Let's let our customers and prospects decide where the $10,000 goes. So we're going to have a free comedy Zoom event, online event, which is, of course, unlimited pretty much with regards to attendees. And we'll just split up the $10,000 on a pro rata basis, letting each attendee vote. And so, we ran the event, and it was super successful from the perspective of the philanthropy, the corporate philanthropy, because the coupon codes that were mentioned during this live Zoom got used. So the client was ecstatic, because that never happens in corporate philanthropy. They never actually get to see direct response ROI. So they were ecstatic about that. But I think even more fun was the fact that the attendees, they were attending a comedy event, which it was sort of in the middle of the pandemic, so they all really could use a laugh at that point. And the comedy was super funny. A friend of mine happens to be a comedian, and he was the MC and got his friends to be part of it as well. But the attendees loved the idea that they got to pick where the corporate philanthropy went, as opposed to just some kind of arbitrary executive C-suite decision, which was done for pure PR purposes. And so we got just the most amazing engagement from the attendees, as well as some really fun scenarios, because we had a write-in vote option, right? So we didn't want to just purely only have recommended charities in the registration flow. So we have the ability for people to write in their own charities. And one of our top 5 charities we had never heard of before. And I think they sent over like 50 registrations. Like, who the heck is the Curvy Chic Closet Foundation? I never heard of them. They were legit. I looked them up in the IRS database. And it ends up that one of their supporters had seen a Facebook ad and realized how it works. Like, the more registrations they get for the event for free, the more that nonprofit gets. And so it got posted within their community at Facebook and some of the other socials, and it just took off. They were like, oh, this is great. It's a great way for us to get donation money without having to do anything except go to a free comedy event. And so I had interviewed the executive director afterwards to sort of try to figure out, well, how did this even happen? And so she explained to me like how they're a very tight-knit community, and it's all about improving body image of women initially, but then they opened it up to all genders. So they run these philanthropic fashion shows where people can go out and strut their stuff, even if they're not, a size 0. And so it was really fun cause to end up supporting that we had no idea that we would end up supporting. And this sort of win-win scenario made it even more fun. We also learned, of course, that events are much harder than you think they're going to be. And so for the 3 days before the event, like nobody slept. And I said, okay, no more events this year. Let's get our volunteer base up a little bit bigger. Let's get some velocity and good buzz so that we can help put butts in seats. But the what we learned from the event was really just fascinating about how you could run an event from a one-to-many relationship. Eventually, we'd like to also have ticket prices where the person picks a nonprofit that gets the bulk of a paid ticket. In this case, tickets for free. So when we do it again, if it happens to be a paid event, maybe subsidized by a sponsor, but not entirely free, we'll want to give the majority of the ticket price to the nonprofit that the ticket buyer picks, because we love to spread the money around, spread the love around.
So cool. So Kevin, when I talk about you, people talk about Sweeps for a Cause. Tell me, but I know that's not live yet. What is it going to be? Tell me what to expect.
So again, democratization of the consumer's choice around nonprofits is sort of a common theme here, whether it's Good Buzz, whether it's the events platform, which is also under Good Buzz, or whether it's Sweeps for a Cause. Now, I've been watching Omaze and Prizo pretty carefully over the last several years, and they run these philanthropic sweepstakes as a for-profit company. So Prizo is part of the charity network, and Omaze is an independent other sort of philanthropic sweepstakes company. They've actually raised a lot of venture money. I think it's like over 120 million, if I'm remembering correctly, although I'd have to look at Crunchbase. So they've raised a ton of money, and they as investor money, but they've also raised a ton of money for nonprofits in the hundreds of millions of dollars by running philanthropic sweepstakes. And the concept behind it is sort of cool. Like it's not a requirement that you donate in order to enter the sweepstakes, but it is sort of the most frictionless way for you to enter the sweepstakes is to make a donation. And I just love the idea that, it sort of takes the person and pushes them off the fence into the yes column for donating. But what I always felt was a missed opportunity with Omaze was they would run their sweepstakes on a one-to-one basis. So I asked my tech team, couldn't we build an Omaze clone, but where we let the consumer pick which nonprofit got a piece of got the donation as a result of getting the sweepstakes entries? Again, it's not a required donation. You can just go the free route as well. And so my tech team was like, yeah, we could do that. We could even set it up so that if the nonprofit wanted to send over people, then it wasn't their choice, because a nonprofit would never promote a sweepstakes if the person changed their mind. But we would have the flexibility to sort of have two different buy flows, or if the person comes in over the transom, they could pick whichever their favorite nonprofit was. And our hypothesis, which you'll have to ask me in a couple of months, is that that will increase the conversion rate because people get to pick their favorite nonprofit, and it'll increase the average donation size because, again, it's their favorite nonprofit that's benefiting. We'll take some money off the top, giving forward. Obviously, we have to provide the prize and we have costs ourselves, but we want the vast majority of the money to go to the nonprofits that the individual entrant or the donor selects. So we're really excited about it. The developers are working on it furiously at the moment. I'm expecting an end of October launch, but it is technology, so it could be into November. I will put the ultimate pressure on the team to get it done before Giving Tuesday, because I think we could run some really fun stuff around Giving Tuesday, where you can sort of simultaneously be selfish and altruistic, right, as you enter to try to win something for yourself and for the cause. We'll also always include for the big prizes in particular, where whoever the winner is also has picked a nonprofit, and the nonprofit will get sort of some cash as well. We're going to launch with a Share the Pie sweepstakes, PI, as in 3.1416, whatever it is. And we'll run it through Pi Day in March, right? So on March 15th, that'll be the last day of the sweepstakes. And so 1,000 of that, $3,114 will go to the nonprofit that the individual selected, and then the other 2,100 will go to the winner. So it'll be sharing the pie. That's just a small sweepstakes to get things cooking. Once we're launched, we've got all the bugs out. We'll actually go out to businesses and we'll get businesses to donate prizes. And obviously the business will get all the positive PR around it. And we may be able to structure things where we can do co-registration at the email list for them as well, for those entrants who also want to be on the email list of the prize providers. So we think we can run it very efficiently as a nonprofit and generate a lot of donation revenue with just that little extra push. We won't be starting off with Ferraris. I know they just switched off Charlize Theron's Ferrari on Omaze, and we won't be able to start with a Ferrari unless Ferrari wants to step up and donate a Ferrari. If they would like to donate a Ferrari, we'd be happy to sweep it off.
Ferrari, if you're watching.
Exactly.
And so, Kevin, you're the CEO of Didit, which is an advertising agency, a bunch of employees, a lot of big clients. But you spend a lot of your time on philanthropy. What inspires you?
Philanthropy is a lot of fun, especially when you can convert marketing dollars into donations for nonprofits. So I live in the marketing world in both cases. Didit stewards marketing budgets for clients. Typically, there are a few big ones, but they tend to be medium-sized companies, some B2B, some B2C. We do all the channels now. So we do everything digital, but we do direct mail as well, including having digitized direct mail in some fun ways. So the reason I spend so much time on the philanthropic element of what I do is primarily because it's cause marketing as opposed to straight philanthropy. And because we've got several nonprofit clients, especially on the direct mail side. Direct mail, when you look categorically at who the biggest mailers are, you've got, financial services, obviously, and a bunch of other big categories. But nonprofit companies, organizations still rely very heavily on direct mail. So we ended up just sort of having a bunch of nonprofit clients in that category as well. So anything we can do to make them more efficient is a win.
Good for you. So you're doing remarkable things for nonprofits. Who else, when you look around, who do you think is just doing amazing things?
I think, obviously Facebook gets a bad rap recently, and they went down earlier today as it happened. But there was 60 Minutes recently that showed that they're not, there are some issues that they need to address. But they've actually done some pretty cool stuff. I mean, last year, I don't think the number was big enough, to be perfectly honest. It should have had an extra couple of decimal places on it. But they ran a really cool promo event on Giving Tuesday where they matched. They did sort of millions of dollars of match money into folks who donated on Facebook or ran fundraisers or donated on Facebook on Giving Tuesday. I don't think I've seen any reference yet to whether they're doing it again this year. So we'll have to sort of watch to see if they do it. They certainly have some PR issues. Those millions and or billions around a little bit more. I think they only did about 8 million last year. I'll have to look it up. But, I thought it was really cool the way they did that, again, by empowering their members to choose where they donate and by matching it and empowering the consumers to make the choice. That was pretty cool. I do like what the philanthropic organizations, the philanthropic sweepstakes companies are doing as well. I think that's a way of sort of, adding a new layer. And I have to say, Smile has executed pretty well and taken the ball and run with it. But they've even gone international with Smile, which is something that I don't think we could have ever done under We Care. Because validating that international nonprofits are legit is actually really tough to do, right? In the United States, the IRS has a lot of guidelines with regards to whether you're a 501c3 or a 501c4 and, making sure that everything's legit with regards to nonprofits. That's not to say that there aren't abuses, but apparently abuses overseas are much more prevalent. And I think Amazon's done a good job sort of internationalizing their cause marketing platform of Smile. So there's a lot of great stuff going on across the ecosystem.
Okay, so pretend you're at an awards banquet. You've just won something like the Oscars or the Emmys, but for fundraising. And who would you thank? Who are the people that you would talk about? The friends, the mentors, business partners, peers? Who would you acknowledge?
Yeah, I mean, everything from family. My wife always been very supportive of my passion for cause marketing and philanthropy, and starting We Care and essentially giving myself an additional job. And same thing with Giving Forward now. But there have been a lot of really great folks on the We Care team, which really sort of demonstrated how powerful cause marketing was to me. I think whether it was my general managers or VPs all along the way, Brian Cockram and Gina Devani were two early participants in that launch with me, and pretty much all the employees could have worked elsewhere for greater salaries than what they made under We Care. And I think it was really rewarding for me to see that they could help us guarantee our own success by being willing to work for a little bit less for a company that's sort of remaking philanthropy. And it sort of reinvigorated my passion for the whole category and sort of faith in humanity, right? That there are these people who really are so driven by social impact and social good and philanthropy that it sort of it drives their behavior and it drives their life choices.
Fantastic. Kevin, thank you very much. I've been talking with Kevin Lee. Kevin has changed the face of nonprofit fundraising by inventing Amazon Smile and has helped raise hundreds of millions of dollars. Kevin, how can people get in touch with you to learn more?
Thanks, Dennis. LinkedIn is the easiest place to find me. People can connect with me there. Also, Kevin at Giving Forward is an easy way to reach me. You can just shoot me an email as well if you're not a big LinkedIn enthusiast.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Greater Returns podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.